Alright guys, it looks like Square Enix isn't slowing down on the remaster slash remake train and bringing back those classic RPG styles and games that we do love, because we have a brand new listing from Square Enix that shows that a beloved classic is probably going to be coming back sometime soon. But before we get into any of that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell just to get my videos first as we drop new videos all the time on RPGs, Nintendo games, and more. But let's go ahead and jump right back into this here, guys, because Square Enix has officially trademarked Tactics Ogre Reborn in Japan. Now, shout outs to Final Weapon with the beat on this one, and they talked about this. A brand new trademark filing surfaced in Japan, signaling a possible return of the classic Tactics Ogre franchise. Square Enix has trademarked Tactics Ogre Reborn in Japan on March 31st, so it was a little bit ago. The trademark filing was later made public recently. Now, Tactics Ogre was previously listed in the infamous GeForce Now leak, and it seems like a remaster or remake is on the way. However, fans of the tactical RPG will have to wait for a definitive confirmation from Square Enix. Now, here's the thing, guys. That GeForce Now leak is pretty much turning out to be true. A lot of the stuff that was revealed on there is actually happening, and I think that if they're filing a trademark along with the GeForce Now leak, obviously this game is being brought back. Now, for those who don't know about Tactics Ogre, let me tell you something here. This is a fantastic game. It was originally released back in 1995 in Japan. It was developed and published by Quest Corporation back in the day for the Super Famicom. Now, it did get ports over to other systems. It got a PS1 port and a Sega Saturn port, two varying levels of success when it comes to what fans feel about it. This was back in 96, 97, and then later released in North America in 1998 by Atlas. They're the ones who picked it up there. This was the second entry in the Ogre Battle series, and it obviously features the war-torn kingdoms, all the strategy RPG elements, the upgrading, the leveling, all that good stuff that you would love in a great strategy RPG, and I'm very happy to see this one potentially being brought back. And I would guess, if I had to guess, platforms, obviously Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, or at least maybe Nintendo Switch, PC, and PlayStation. Sometimes some of these games do skip the Xbox platform. That's not because I hate it or anything. Xbox guys, don't kill me. But just sometimes that they do. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But Square Enix has been fairly good with releasing these multi-platform classic releases across all platforms, like Final Fantasy, for example. And also recently, Chrono Cross came out on Xbox in addition to the rest of the platforms here. So it should be good across that front. We do have the usual E3 type of time slot that I feel a lot of companies will still utilize to make announcements. Even though the E3 is canceled, I still feel that we're going to get announcements from companies. Square Enix has their own Square Enix Presents, which is like a Nintendo Direct. All these companies have kind of modernized and have their own versions of Nintendo Directs. Heck, even independent companies have their own Directs as well. So I do think that Square Enix will announce it at one of those, or even announce it at Nintendo's Nintendo Direct, usually around the time of E3, June or so. That could be something that they do there, because Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition, was announced at Nintendo's show, and we've seen other classic games being announced at Nintendo's show as well, even though they're multi-platform. So that could happen again here, because this was originally a Super Famicom game and does have some affiliation with Nintendo platforms releasing first and everything. So this could be pretty cool. I'm excited for it, and it would make complete sense. Triangle Strategy is blowing it away when it comes to smaller end tactic games sales. It sold over 800,000 copies in about 2 weeks. So I'm guessing that Square Enix is looking at that and saying, yeah, obviously we're going to put it on there as well. But you never know, right? You never know when it comes down to stuff like this. But we'll see exactly what it ends up being. But yes, the GeForce Now leak, in addition to the actual trademark, I mean, this is definitely happening, and it's probably going to be announced this year sometime soon. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Tactics Ogre Reborn potentially being reborn on modern platforms? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We're talking some Famitsu sales data for Japan, March 28, 2022 through April 3rd, 2022. And the impressive thing here is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Yes, there was a drop off from the initial week's sales, but it still sold in these 6 figures overall, so very good there. And we're also seeing more consistent stock with the PlayStation 5 in Japan. So Famitsu has published its estimated physical game software sales. Remember, these are physical game software sales, not digital, just physical software sales. Now, Kirby and the Forgotten Land was the #1 game for the past week. It sold an additional 110,946 retail copies. No other new releases actually charted in the top 10. We might get some of those new releases that came out or anything else in the top 11 through 30. Now, on the hardware side, Nintendo Switch definitely feeling the constraints just a bit because sales were down to 67,164 units with no OLEDs in sight. You can't even find a Nintendo Switch OLED there. And also the PlayStation 5 doing really well comparative to how it usually does. Sold another 31,209 units, surpassing 1.5 million units sold in the country. Obviously not where they've been before with previous big selling systems like the PlayStation 2, but still not bad, all things considered, with the chip shortage. Not amazing, but better. Things seem to be getting a bit better because there's still so many people in Japan that want a PlayStation 5, that bought PS4 and love that system, that just can't get one. So hopefully they're trying to do their best to cut back on the scalping issue, because a lot of people are buying these Japanese PS5s and they're being shipped off to different parts of Asia, shipped off to different countries, and the Japanese gamers who deserve to kind of get those systems are not getting them. So it looks like maybe some of that stuff is helping, and Sony's kind of diverting a bit more stock over there as well. If you're looking at the top 10, you guys can see here a lot of the usual suspects. One PlayStation 4 game in the top 10, that is Elden Ring, which is doing nicely there, over 317,000 units, but everything else is pretty much what you'd expect. Ring Fit, Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda, which literally never leaves the top 30 in Japan. People wonder why Nintendo is going to go the route of the open world Zelda games. Well, here you go. Legend of Zelda is more popular than ever in Japan at the end of the day. You've got Minecraft, Pokemon Legends Arceus continues to sell well. So all of these games are doing great at the end of the day when it comes to Nintendo's evergreen titles. So what do you guys think about the Famitsu sales for this week with Kirby and also Nintendo Switch, PlayStation? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got some interesting information on Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles. Some new paid DLC character packs have recently been announced, and I think that a lot of hardcore fans of the series are going to like some of the picks here. So several new playable characters via paid DLC, downloadable content will be coming this summer, and that does include, it seems like, the Nintendo Switch version, which was recently announced at the last Nintendo Direct. All these characters will be available. They have their Awakened forms and Entertainment District forms as well, so kind of like downloadable, kind of like different characters, but then kind of like not. There's about 3 actual new characters, and the rest will be Awakened forms or Entertainment District forms. So Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles, is now available. If you want to play it now, you can pick it up. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. Nintendo Switch version is due out on June 9th in Japan and Asia, and June 10th worldwide. So you've got a couple more months about for the game to come out on the Nintendo Switch. This is an Unreal Engine 4 game, so we'll see exactly how it performs compared to the other ones. But I always felt that this game could come over just because it's Demon Slayer, it's an anime property. We've seen stuff like Dragon Ball Z come over to Nintendo Switch, Naruto games come over to Nintendo Switch. It didn't really make any sense if this game didn't come over at some point. Plus, there's a lot of money to be made. This will probably sell like another 300,000, 400,000 copies on the Nintendo Switch or somewhere somewhere around that. That's millions of dollars that are obviously left on the table, which would cover the cost of the development and also put more money into the pockets of the developers and the publisher and everything. So of course it makes sense, complete sense, that they ported this game over. And from what they've shown so far, seems like it looks pretty good, but we're gonna have to wait to see exactly how it holds up over the course of the game on the Nintendo Switch. But what do you guys think about these new DLC characters coming through? How do you guys feel about it? And who would you want to see else added into the mix here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys, we've got some new information and trailer on The Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki 2 Crimson Sin for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in Japan this year. So Falcom has released a new teaser trailer and first details plus screenshots for The Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki 2 Crimson Sin, the latest entry in the Trail series, due out for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in Japan this fall. The teaser trailer shows bits of a bizarre incident that kicks off the story. While various organizations work to solve the case, someone pays the Spriggan Van Arkwright a visit. Now, if you go over to the page, guys, you will see all sorts of details, the voice actors, the weapons, the heroes, and the art in this game is really cool. The backstories seem a bit cliche, but also looks like it's going to have some nice depth in there, like a lot of Falcom games do have. I do like the design of the characters. I like their weapons. I think that this is going to be another solid Falcom RPG, but we'll see exactly how it does. I know the last game didn't necessarily do great in the debut in Japan, and I think it's still waiting to come over here to the West. It's coming at some point, or it's already out, whatever the case is. But yeah, we'll see how this one does in Japan. I think that this one should be okay, just as long as the game is just as good as the first one or better. Then people will go out there and pick it up enough to at least, you know, make money off of the title. So we'll see exactly how that works out later. But I lied about that being the last topic because there was something when I was editing that came up that I wanted to cover in this video, even though it's not a RPG, but it's still an amazing game with a great story, with one of the greatest characters of all time, and I want to cover it. And that's the Metroid Dread version 2.1.0 update is now available for everyone to go download. One of my favorite games of last year, right up there with my game of the year contenders. There was like SMT5, there was also Metroid Dread. Those two were like back and forth. I freaking love Metroid Dread. I think it's fantastic, and I think that now with this version update, it adds even more content to a game that some people said maybe didn't have enough content in there. We've got a bunch of different modes, and I wanted to go over them with you because this is not just a small update. There's actually substantial content here with these modes. So here are the new modes added. You have 3 different boss rush modes have been added to the game. Press the R button on the Samus file screen to move to the boss rush selection. Now you have the regular boss rush. Now this is a mode where players fight 12 continuous boss battles and aim for the best time. Any damage received is carried over into the next fight. Weapons are fully restored between battles. If Samus is defeated, players may select retry to continue playing from the start of the battle they lost. There is, however, a time penalty for being defeated. Bosses fought in Boss Rush can be fought one-on-one at any time by selecting Practice. Now, you can also unlock this by clearing the main game a single time. If you've already completed the game, it'll be unlocked right there from the beginning, and you can play Boss Rush immediately. Now, you also have Survival Rush, a mode where players see how many bosses they can defeat inside of a 5-minute time limit. Any damage received or weapons spent are carried over into the next battle. Even if time remains on the clock, Samus being defeated will result in a game over. Defeating a boss will add a fixed amount of time to the countdown clock. Defeat a boss without receiving any damage to receive an even bigger time bonus. Survival Rush is unlocked by completing either Boss Rush or Dread Rush. And then finally, you have Dread Rush. So the basic rules are the same as Boss Rush, but if Samus is hit by a boss, her energy drops to 0 and she is defeated. Goodness gracious, that is definitely the hard mode, the super hard mode there. Bosses fought in Dread Rush can be fought one-on-one at any time by selecting Practice, unlocked by clearing the main game using Dread mode. In the event that a player has completed Dread mode before the update was released, they will be able to play Dread Rush immediately after updating. Now, there are some general fixes as well. Fixed an error where the game over screen would not display properly when Samus takes damage and is defeated immediately after destroying a central unit, which I think that might have happened to me one time. I don't know. I don't remember. I played it a while ago. No, it didn't happen to me. I heard about it when it comes down to it. But yeah, all of this stuff is really cool. Metroid Dread is out and available now. And obviously, there's been a lot of talk beforehand about Metroid Dread. Can it beat out the previous bestsellers in Metroid franchise? And I think that it pretty much already has, because Metroid Prime was the best one at about 2.8 million units or so, and Metroid Dread has already sold 2.7 million units. Nintendo announced last year, and of course we've already had a quarter of the year about. We're in April now, so if you count up the sales at this point, I'm pretty sure Metroid Dread is over 3 million units sold, and of course is the best selling Metroid game of all time. And content like this is only going to help keep it in the limelight, keep people talking about it, and get more people to pick up the game when they do see it, or if there's not as much to play. I know we had an Advance Wars delay, so now might be the time to pick up Metroid Dread before Nintendo Switch Sports comes out. Or if you're not a fan of Nintendo Switch Sports, if you didn't buy Metroid Dread, now is definitely the time to get it, because we don't have any big games after Nintendo Switch Sports coming till June. So if you're not into that, June is going to be Mario Strikers, and even if you're not into that, then it's not going to be a little bit longer till Fire Emblem or till some of the other games. So Metroid Dread can be a game that you can pick up if you didn't buy it last year on the Nintendo Switch. So what are your thoughts when it comes to these modes here with Boss Rush and Survival Rush and Dread Rush and all these new modes for Metroid Dread? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell. We will see you for the next video. Peace.